Welcome to True Vision Outdoors. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on how I organize my trail camera pictures from year to year. This is very important that you keep this stuff organized because if you run numerous cameras and you plan on getting a lot of pictures, you could end up with over 20,000 photos. So this is important that you do create some kind of organization method so that you know where the specific pictures are, starting from when you put the cameras out to when you pull them down in the winter. For example, we'll open up the 2011 file. You can see I've got a lot of dates here, and I have nearly 28 gigs of pictures from last year alone, somewhere in the neighborhood of 27,000 pictures. So it's very important that you go through a few steps to keep them organized. I would suggest staying away from any built-in software on your computer. I run a MacBook Pro, and for example you have iPhoto or whatever program is installed on your computer. I like to do this specifically with a new folder so that it's easy to drag to a portable hard drive or wherever I decide to back the files up. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and open a new folder. We're going to title that Trail Cam Pix 2012, and you can title whatever you would like. Inside this folder we're going to get even more organized. You're going to start off with the dates. The first column is going to represent the soak of which that particular card had. For the example and for the sake of our discussion, we're going to do August 5th through August 15th. Okay, so we have those dates there. Inside each date, you're going to open another file. You're going to title those the farm that those particular pictures came from. For the sake of our discussion, we're going to title this Bee Farm. We're going to open another new folder for S Farm. And we're going to start another one. If you're wondering where I'm finding this little menu, it's by right-clicking the mouse or the pad on your laptop. The final one is going to be G Farm. Now inside of each of those files is going to be the camera-specific locations. Now on Bee Farm I happen to run 3, so there are going to be 3 new files, and I label those uniquely so I know which they are. The first one is going to be the pinch. Right-click, new folder. The next one, you'll laugh at this one, but that's what it's called. Long story. And the final location on that particular farm. Okay, that's that. It's that simple. Now we're organized for this particular card pull. I'm going to go ahead and slide the card into the computer. There it is. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Now here are all the pictures. There happens to be 304 photos in here. I've already labeled a couple of them. Labeling them is important so you know which picture. Otherwise you just get to go by photo 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth. You could drag each individual picture into the file. That gets to be a real pain. On a Mac, all you got to do is select one photo inside that entire file, hit the Command A keystroke. That is a shortcut to select every file inside that particular folder, and we're then going to drag that into the box titled Windy Gap, and we're going to let that load. Less than a minute. Okay, now that that is done, before I do anything else, I clean this card off by moving that entire batch of pictures to the trash. The reason I do that is there have been times where I have taken a card out of the computer, put it back in its case, and forgotten about it, and then moved out to replace cards in the camera at a later date, and found out that I had 700 pictures on that card pull later. I was excited, come back to find out that a bulk of those pictures were from the previous card pull. So I just suggest deleting them off of your card immediately, and you'll be good to go. Pretty simple. And also with this Mac, for example, the way you format that card, delete or drop all those files into the trash, empty the trash out, and that card is now ready to go back into a camera. Go ahead and eject it, pull it out, and while we're talking about cards, I suggest you have 2 cards per camera. If you don't keep the 2 cards unique per camera, I would suggest keep the cards unique to the type of camera you're using, as every camera formats their card differently. Now it's been formatted on the computer, make sure you format it once you put it back in your computer. So this is where we're at. Now that we're inside of this file where I've put all those pictures, we're going to open another folder, and we're going to title this folder select. Now, the reason you do that is perhaps you have a bunch of pictures you don't need. Maybe you want to hang on to all of them but put the good ones in a separate file. I'm going to click that, hit the Shift button, go up here and click the top one, and I'm now going to take those pictures, which are my favorites out of this batch, and drop them into the select file. This way I know exactly where my favorite pictures are. Hover your mouse over top of that file, opens it up, drops them in there. So there are my select photos out of that entire batch. Now if you don't have any more, you don't want any of those, you can go ahead and delete them. I hang on to a bulk of them. That's completely your choice. Now that you're inside the select file, you're going to start one more new folder. We're going to title that Resized. The reason we do that is we like to share our pictures, whether that's online, email, blogs, forums, whatever the case may be. A majority of those locations online work best with a 1 megabyte or smaller file size. For example, if you look at some of these pictures, especially the ones at night, they happen to be over a megabyte, and sometimes during the day they're even bigger. This is 1.4 megabytes, so I want to resize that, and I've already resized those. There are 6 images here. That one has been resized down to 250K. I'm going to go ahead and click on the ones with a 2 behind them, hit the Command key on the mouse pad, then I can click them individually, drag them down, and drop them into the resized file. That way they're all separated. These are the large files, the full file size. These are the resized for emailing. You want to hang on to them all. It's very important that you put a 2 or some kind of different label in addition to what's here so that you don't cancel out the original. These are very important. So basically that's how you do trail camera picture organization. That's how I prefer to do it. And it's going to keep you much more organized as the season wanes on. Once the season arrives and once you lay that buck of a lifetime down, you'll know exactly where his pictures are. So there you have it. I appreciate you tuning in. This has been a True Vision Outdoors production. Thanks for stopping by.